Bournemouth 2, Arsenal 1. A disastrous game. A terrible evening for Arsenal Football Club. They went strong with the lineup. It crumbled in the second half. Poor preparation ahead of their trip to Paris Saint-Germain. And it's simple. It's beat Paris Saint-Germain or bust. Another big Arsenal collapse this season from a winning position. This time it wasn't a draw. It was a defeat. Now, I know this doesn't matter in the context of the Premier League. Liverpool are already champions. I understand it. But clearly the manager, by the way, he rested Moreno because he said that he wasn't ready to go. Moreno's on the bench, not ready to go. He went strong, and I think he did that to try and get some sharpness into Odegaard, to try and get some match sharpness into Partey. But he played Rice, who, by the way, was the only player I thought that really delivered today. Excellent in terms of that they were leading when he came off the pitch. They were literally leading when he came off the pitch. He had an excellent game and scored, but he played all these main players. There's a reason for that. He was trying to win today. It was such a bad decision because you could see the lack of intensity. You could see, not the lack of effort per se. The players know what's at stake on Wednesday. You were better off playing Nwaneri, playing some of the kids. The result wouldn't have mattered, but you've gone for the victory. You've thrown it away, and now confidence feels, in the context of this season only, at a very, very low point, maybe the lowest point of the season indeed. We've got the panel coming for you soon on the show, but I want to say first of all, it's been a big topic of mine in the last couple of years about my mental health and my physical health. And yes, I'm going gym. I'm eating as well as I can. I'm getting lots of sleep. I'm still having some fun in life, and I think that's a very important thing for us to do. But managing my energy is really, really important. So making sure that I feel good throughout the course of the day stops me having crazy slumps, stops me falling into sort of bad habits of eating junk. That then leads to me not sleeping well. And it has a bit of a knock-on effect to trying to be healthy, especially mentally as well. And we spoke about this organization before. I actually saw them. I heard of them via the Joe Rogan podcast, started drinking their shots in the morning, and one of their shots in sort of the evening. I normally have it around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. They help me manage my mood. They help me manage my calmness and stresses. And the most important thing is they enable me to sleep. And that is Magic Mind. I've got a full case of them down here. These little bad boys, okay? I'm not going to try and blind you with the science because I don't understand the wording, right? I don't. But what this essentially does, it releases the caffeine inside this drink, plus any caffeine you drink, like coffee or tea. It releases it slowly throughout the course of the day over a 4 to 5 hour period, rather than it giving you a massive boost of energy and then a huge dump that comes afterwards. That's typically why people slump in the afternoon when they're at work, as an example. I take 2 of these shots a day, first in the morning with a cup of tea before I walk my dog, and then 1 in the evening. I can help provide for you a 50% discount. You scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the description below. 50% off your first order and free shipping. There's also a 100-day back money guarantee as well. So try it twice a day with one of these bad boys. Give it a go. And I want to know if you feel the same as me. Does it help you with your sleep? Does it help you manage your energy? Does it help keep you calm? But go and check out Magic Mind right now. In fairness, Magic Mind is what those Arsenal players needed today. They needed to manage their stress. They need to stay calmer at the right times because they didn't do it very well. So maybe we should send this whole pack to the dressing room for Arsenal for their big game this week. Because I tell you, they're going to need something. They are going to need something to get themselves up for that and get themselves through it. Because today was poor. It was rank. They said it absolutely right. Today was awful by Arsenal. A game of 2. First half look was comfortable by and large, but they were still susceptible to that counter-attack. They're comfortable on the ball. They created some good chances, Arsenal. Rice was excellent. Their goal was amazing. I really, really liked Arsenal's goal. They tore Bournemouth apart, but they were susceptible for the counter-attacks. But by and large, I thought they were in control. The second half, they looked like a team that didn't want to be there. It was almost like they were sending Arteta a message. Why are we on the pitch, boss? Why are we here? What's going on? Why are we playing? We've got the biggest game of our lives in 4 days' time, and we're out here being given the runaround by one of the hardest pressing and hardest working teams in the Premier League in a game that really doesn't matter that much. Arsenal are making it into the Champions League next year. It's PSG or bust. The second half was poor. Conceding directly from a throw-in is amateur. Amateur at best is what you would call it. Amateur at best. The second goal, the marking on the set piece was poor. What is Odegaard doing? What is the captain doing at that moment? Horrendous. If you're going to wrestle with someone, right, you've at least got to win. If you're not going to look at the ball and you're so focused is to stop a player, you got to stop him. Yes, there is some contention. Did it hit the hand? For me personally, I thought it did. Not because of the camera angles. I agree with the commentator. The ball was traveling up like this, hits him and goes straight down again. Doesn't do that if it hits your body. Because if your body's leaning back, the angle would make the ball kind of go up. Potentially. Maybe the spin was going the other way. I don't know. I thought it hit the arm, but no conclusive evidence. There wasn't a video angle that clearly shows you hitting the arm, so they can't disallow it. And I'm going to be fair to the PGMOL and fair to VAR. Without conclusive evidence where you see it touch the hand or the arm, they're not meant to give it. So what we can't be doing as football fans is asking them to break procedure, break protocol in that instance. My gut feeling is arm, but you couldn't really see it. You know, maybe it hits the body first, then the arm. I don't know. But aside from that, the defending was really, really poor. And then afterwards, they had 20 minutes, really, Arsenal, to get back into the game. And Bournemouth looked more likely to score another goal. And look, some will say it's because Arsenal are trash. Some will say it's because Arteta hasn't got a clue. My personal feeling is most of those Arsenal players didn't even want to be on the pitch. They didn't want to be there. They wanted to be wrapped up in cotton wool ahead of the game. And when I say that, it's because they lacked intensity. If, for instance, Arsenal were already out of the Champions League, there might be a little bit more intensity, but we would all just say they're on the beach. Game doesn't matter. I think why Arsenal fans want it to matter is you played them. Let's play with a little bit of form. Let's get a little bit of confidence to go into the next game. But instead, it was this really horrible afternoon. I'm going to go to your comments. I want to know what you think, what you feel before we bring the panel out for you today. We've got Giuseppe coming on, Brandon, Robert are all backstage. Dan Carlito says bad mentality. Look, I've seen it before from players. I've seen it from players going to World Cups. Last 2 or 3 games of the season, dead rubbers that often don't give their all. They don't want to go into any crunching tackles and miss the World Cup. I understand it. That's why I think what Arteta should have done is rotate. I think play 3 or 4 academy players. Play your Raheem Sterlings, give Nwaneri a go. Players that are probably not going to start the game. Maybe like Partey should play because it'll be too long between games for him. You know, maybe start Odegaard. But you could have just kept yourselves out of what is now going to be a big pressure cooker. This guy gives me a laugh when I tune in. So much waffle. Then do better than me. What am I saying that's wrong? How have I not criticised Arsenal enough for you today? Is that what it is? I've criticised. I've said it's nasty work that they conceded from a throw-in. So the manager got it wrong. The players lacked intensity. A bad day in the office. Maybe confidence at an all-time low this season. What more do you want me to say, CFC? Chad D? What do you want me to say? Is that how you pronounce Chad D? Or Chidi? Or Chad? Is it Chad? Are you like one of those American Chads? Hey, Chad. Like, what else do you want me to say, my friend? You write it and I'll just say it. Stop, Terry. The players were desperate. Yeah, I said they're rubbish. I said they were bad! I said they were bad! What are you talking about? Wow, Terry giving excuses again. Give him what excuses? I criticize them! Sorry. Let me do it all properly for you. Okay, let's do it again. Every single Arsenal player is dog shit. I've been wrong about everything I've ever said about Arsenal Even when they were really good, they weren't. Actually, they were shit. Arteta, always been shit. Never. Every game he's won was luck. Every game they're shit. Whenever they win, they're luck. They beat the worst Real Madrid team in the history of football. They're second by luck. It's a false position. It's a false position. What else? What else? Odegaard. Well, actually, no, I do say he's been pretty bad. So I've got to lie. I've got to lie about Odegaard. Odegaard's world class, right? So I'm going to lie. Saka, most overrated player in the history of football. Lewis Skelly, what a bum. Overhyped nonsense. Declan Rice, my days. The worst midfielder in English football history. Is that better? Does that make you all feel better for me to sit here and lie to you? Oh, my days. Martin Lewis Smelly. Do you want me to come out with silly names for players? Martin Lewis Smelly. Egg fried rice. Does that make the content better? Is that what happens? Do you know what I mean? Bakayo Bebe. What are we doing here? Is that what you want me to lie? Fucking hell. That's what I'll do. Sorry. I'm sorry that when I criticized Arsenal, it wasn't enough. I'm really sorry. I apologize for that. Let's go to some of your super chats that have come in here. Flick, Enrique, Inzaghi made significant rotations, and Arteta said, I'm the smartest one here. But I think Arteta made a horrendous mistake. I think he made a terrible, terrible mistake today by playing his first team. I really do. I'm sorry that saying he made a terrible mistake is an excuse to the trolls. City 3 points behind Arsenal if they finish above. Yeah, look, I was actually looking at this earlier. Do you know when City started their run of 1 win in 13? Do you know that City was 5 points, ahead of Arsenal? So, yeah, I mean, it's still bad. It's still an L for City. I don't think any City fan will be celebrating that one, my friend. Are Arsenal finishing third in a 2-horse race? Well, it was a 1-horse race. But yeah, they could end up finishing third in a 2-horse race. Yeah, terrible season. Saying it for weeks. Horrendous. As Terry said on Twitter, Rice balling out. If this is him balling, it's a new wow. Well, again, though, if you watch the Twitter thread, you'd see I was winding up Don. So I was exaggerating to wind up Don. But there we go. If you don't understand that, again, you need to go get a girlfriend, see. If only Saka was available, we need our captain back. If Partey had played against PSG, we're so unlucky. I want to ask the viewers a question here, though. Do you think Arsenal today were bad because they're a bad team? So if you think that, right, bad team. Or do you think they were bad today because the game just lacked the intensity that it needed? What do you put it down to? Which is the reason? The players not being fully committed to the day? Or the players by and large being bad, team being bad? Just write that in the comment section. It's probably easier for me to understand the angle of which you are coming from on this. Let us know. Blue Buzz says bad team. Most people saying bad because of Arteta. Okay. So you don't think today in the last 3 or 4 games has anything to do with the title race being over and them focusing on Europe? By the way, that's why he should have rotated today. None of you think that. Okay, cool. I'm just checking. I just want to know. Makes sense. Gooners claimed I don't know ball when I stated Arsenal would finish third. Now imagine third with 0 trophies. Hashtag Arsenal Bottlers FC. Yeah, I mean, look, it's not a great season. I can't really respond much more to that because for 4 months I've been saying the same thing. Terrible season for Arsenal by the standards they've set recently. They're judged only on winning trophies. It's not been good enough. Like I said, it's beat PSG now or bust for them this season, and all Arsenal fans know it. Why are we pretending like Arsenal are on the beach? They have seen the pack behind them and check their fixtures. Very tough. Well, again, but no one said they're on the beach. So again, Blaze, don't misrepresent my words, brother. You've been watching my show, super chatting daily almost 5 years. Don't twist my words. I don't think the players are committed to these Premier League games. I think they're thinking about Europe. And I understand it because they're playing for nothing. As you have said before, Blaze, 2nd and 5th are the same thing this season. So for Arsenal finishing third For me, that doesn't impact on how good or bad they're going to do next season. Do you want to know why I believe these things? Let's speak serious for a moment here. When Arsenal used to throw seasons away and then would end, I'm going to look at the Gooners' faces backstage, see who agrees with me. They would end the season winning like 8 of their last 10 games and have a good run. Gooners for a decade went, "Oh, we're set up good for next season. Look how we're ending the campaign." Following season would start poorly. Then they'd have a good run from October through to February. Then they'd fall apart again. Then they'd have a good run at the end of the season. And this went on and on and on and on for years. So I don't think necessarily these bad results at the end of this Premier League season are an indication that next season they're going to be a bad team. I think they're an indication that they know the league title race is over and they're putting everything into the Champions League. That is why the performance and the quality in the PSG game was so disappointing from an Arsenal perspective, because that's what they're meant to be focused on. If, though, people just think they're just a bad team, you're entitled to that opinion. So express it, and rather than, you don't have to call me out for mine, just give your opinion, people. Please. It makes so much more sense. Hit the like button. Yes, get the like button smashed, please, people. I know a lot of you have done it already. It'd be great if you can. We're going to bring the panel out to have their say on the show now. But remember, everyone's backstage. Whatever you're thinking of saying about Arsenal criticism-wise, triple it, though. Whatever, if you're going to use a bad word like crap, maybe change it to the shittest thing I've seen in the history of humanity. You've got to up the ante here, otherwise it doesn't count. If you just say, Brandon, if you dare say we just weren't good enough today, they're going to say you're making excuses. It's got to be more intense than that. It's got to be more intense, Brandon. All right. Panel time now, people. By the way, evening, Linda. Hope you are well. I'm good. My team's probably going to go to European Cup final. Can't wait. Stop crying, tell. I know if you think I'm crying, I'm rattled. I'm throwing it back at you. That's because you ain't touched grass in 6 months. Right, let's bring the panel out now. Who we got here? We've got Brandon, we've got Ash, we've got Giuseppe, we've got Robert on the show. Welcome, one and all. I'm going to go to Ash first. Ash, awful result in the end. A decent start, leading, comfortable, and a massive collapse. What was your thoughts on today individually?
Yeah, abysmal. I think he should have probably rotated, not even to rest players, but just to save face, to at least say that, hey, look, we lost, but that's because I didn't start the main team. I don't think it's because of the Champions League thing. I mean, the players clearly looked digested. Declan Rice on the bench looked quite digested with what happened. Trossard was clearly pissed off when we conceded. I think the players wanted to win. I just feel that... Look, I don't... To answer your question earlier that you asked the comments, I think we have a very good team. Yes, we are lacking 2 or 3 players to complete us, a striker, a left winger, I think a backup for Saka. But I think outside that, we have a very, very good team. I think the manager, for whatever reason, has just... what can I say? Just lacks some sort of bravery when it comes to the attacking style of play. And it's crazy to say that because he had that 2 seasons ago. And he had that for moments of last season, albeit maybe 4 or 5 consecutive games where we slapped up teams. But outside that, for majority of last season, for this season as well, we've just lacked a lot of bravery. There are many times this season, and this game included, where I don't think we commit enough people forward. Everyone is sprinting to track back. I feel like Saka and Martinelli are more like wing backs than wingers. Like, big up to Thierry Henry, one of the greatest Premier League player of all time, but he knows nothing when it comes to sometimes giving punditry talk, and this is why he failed as a manager at Monaco, because he comes in saying shit like, the thing I love about Saka and Martinelli the most is that they track back. No great winger in the history of football has been known for tracking back. They've been known for their attacking prowess. This thing of, Saka and Martinelli need to track back, and that's what gives them the X factor, is just insane. This is why I've been asking for a winger like Rafael Leao, not even because of his insane skills, because he's so lazy he doesn't track back for shit. I think we need wingers who defy the manager at times when it comes to the attacking style, who can stay forward, wait for the ball to come in dangerous positions to make sure they're harming the other team. 93rd minute and few seconds after I think we lost the ball from a corner or something like that, he's asking everyone to get back into shape. Bruh, there's like 2 minutes left. What are you on about? I don't know. I think there's a lot of work that has to be done in the summer. I personally don't think we'll go against PSG. And I'm not saying it reactionary now after the game. I've been saying it all week. I said it yesterday with South Channel as well. I just think there's 3 or 4 things we have to overcome, and I don't see us overcoming all 3 or 4 things. And if he does get knocked out against PSG, in my opinion, that would be regression from last season, in which case he has to go. But obviously, that's not going to be the case. He is going to stay. So we need Berta to do a lot of good work this summer.
He's not. Yeah, I mean, he's not going, is he? I mean, that's the one thing I think most Arsenal fans, as much as Gooners can scream he's got to go, and I understand why, he's not going. So I understand that some won't want to waste energy on something that isn't actually going to come to fruition. Brandon, what do you put it down to? I mean, it was another game. Again, I'm looking from the outside in, and I saw a lack of intensity. Players, there was a ball that I think Odegaard could have chased down, and no, Saka at one point, ball knocked over the top, was a little bit too long, and he just stops. And you think, if you're fighting for the title, would it be busting the gut to get there? Or do you just feel that, what do you put it down to? Because I think it's the 4th game in 5 where you've thrown the lead away to not win. This time you've lost. They've all been centered around these European games. What do you put it down to?
Well, there's so many different things, to be honest with you. I'm scratching my head because I don't think there's anything that particularly stands out as to say, this is what's wrong or this is what's wrong, and it's clear to see that that's what's wrong. I think there's a number of different things. Let's start with the players performing with, again, for the 3rd week in a row in the Premier League, a lack of intensity, a very lackluster performance all round, really. Why is that? Is that because they're concentrating on Europe? If they are, then they better go through on Wednesday. Do you know what I mean? No excuses. I don't want no excuses. But also at the same time, I don't think the players and the manager are on the right page at this moment in time. And what I mean by that is, what you said at the beginning there about the players are kind of looking at the manager as if to say, Wednesday's the important game. Why are we playing today? And then you've got Mikel Arteta playing the full-strength squad in a game like today, where you're right, the Premier League title is gone. However, Arsenal still really need to finish 2nd in this league to take any credibility, because let's be honest, at the beginning of the season when Man City started falling away like they did, most people, including most Arsenal fans, expected us to go on and win the league, because that was always, the whole thing around it. If Man City fall off, Arsenal are best placed to win the league. So the fact that Liverpool have come in and they've won the league with their manager being in the first season, I think to not finish 2nd at least is a bit of an embarrassment. And we're in a bit of a predicament now, because we've got City that are 3 points behind us. You've got Chelsea also. They're not as close, but you don't want to make it look like it's been close, even though it really hasn't, if that makes sense. So I understand why he went with a full-strength squad. However, I think rotation was needed, more to the fact that, there's a lot of players that are underperforming in this Arsenal side right now. We can talk about the captain again, and what's going to be key to this PSG game is, and I keep saying it, we have to move the ball quickly. And Odegaard this season hasn't been the same Odegaard at all. He was very poor again today. And I just don't understand why you wouldn't try and at least give Ethan Nwaneri 90 minutes in maybe the 10 position, see what he's like, see if you can experiment a little bit, give some of these players a little bit of a rest. Because I'm looking at, again, the likes of Saka, for example, who come back from his injury, had 2 top performances against Real Madrid, but he was never going to be able to consistently produce that after coming back from a grade 3 hamstring injury. And we're watching him play another 90 minutes today. Declan Rice has played God knows how many minutes for Arsenal in all competitions this season, and he was the standout player today and the only one who could come off the pitch with credibility. But I'm looking at players that are tired, I'm looking at players that need the manager to rotate a little bit more, even though we probably haven't really got the squad there, or we haven't got the players.
Mate, Brand, I just want to say, you're so right about today and rotating. I know why you want to still finish 2nd in the credibility argument, but and I know it's your club, and you're free to think the way you want. The way I also view it, though, is I view it the reverse. Say Liverpool won the league and then they just stopped playing because they're on the beach and you won all your games and you ended up finishing a point behind them at the final day of the season. That wouldn't be a true reflection of the season, would it? Being 1 point behind Liverpool on final day.
No, but I think something has got to change in terms of the mentality, right? Because if you look at, let's say, for example, if we look at the last 2 seasons, not so much last season because it was close between Arsenal and City, right? But the season before that, City won the league with, I think it was like 3 games remaining. And up until that point, Arsenal was struggling to pick up points. We was dropping a lot of points, and that as soon as City had won the league, all of a sudden we started winning games, and it was like all the pressure had been lifted off these players. And I don't like the whole aspect of Arsenal seem to not be able to perform under pressure. I still think, even though we're not going to win the league, there is still an element of there's some pressure there because to make you look less.
I do understand where you're coming from. It's just, again, I'm only speaking honestly because of how I've always viewed it. Once races are over and they're run, and I don't know if people don't have the same intensity. It's almost like when you're at work and you go into holiday mode. Almost the last week before, when you're at work, as you're building up to going away, most people start to slack a little bit. And I feel that happens in sport when you can't win it anymore. There's a level of, you've already lost, if that makes sense. So I get where you're coming from, but my point, I know that we're talking, isn't that it's okay. It's your manager should be rotating more and protecting the team and the club from that scrutiny. That is typically what managers start to do when the games mean a little bit less. And Amram said a very sensible thing when we knocked out Lyon. He said there'll be loads of rotation as everything's about the Europa League for us now. And what that's very nicely done, it's taken the focus away from our league results, which have been crap, much worse than yours, by the way, but it's all on that now. And I feel like Arteta, again, this is a management element, not a coaching element. Just say the league title race is over. That is going to be our main focus moving forward. Rotate for these games. Now, if you'd have lost, there'd still be a disappointment, but you know what the main focus was. I feel that it's worse today because the team he picked, it's like he's trying to win. What I saw from those players, I saw players not half-hearted in tackles, but there seemed to be an intensity, a press missing. There seemed to be some speed missing from watching this Arsenal team play. And I just don't know why we'd risk his team in an environment like that. And that can be more dangerous, by the way. When you're sometimes pulling out a little bit of a tackle, when you're not fully committed, that's when injuries happen. And I just think Arteta has got it massively, massively wrong today. I really, really do. I think he's made a huge mistake.
One last point as well. Obviously, again, it's hard to read into it because I don't think we'll lack the same intensity on Wednesday. However, we have seen that you can't just switch it on and switch it off. So that is a little bit of a worry. To me, you've got a win today to take a bit of confidence. Is this going to dent the confidence from the players? When you're performing at a level where you're not really at the races, it's difficult to then turn it on. Also,
maybe
midfield was a big problem against PSG. Thomas Partey was back today, and our midfield looked just as bad, just as open. So I really hope and pray that we can get that element right, because even with Thomas Partey today, we didn't look that great in the midfield, and we did get caught out quite a lot on the counter-attack. And we know PSG are one of the best teams in world football at counter-attacking.
Yeah.
And lastly, as well, on Wednesday, if we start Odegaard or Trossard, I want both of them players dropped, by the way. If we start either of them two, then I think we're out, because as I said at the beginning,
you're starting Odegaard. Just already know you're starting Odegaard. Like that's just a fact, isn't it? It's a fact.
It is fact. It is fact, and this is why I think we're out, Tel, right? And the reason why I say don't start them two is because, as I said at the beginning, Arsenal, to have a chance of beating PSG, we have to move the ball quickly when we have it. I think Odegaard and Trossard in particular take far too many touches and far too much time on the ball, and they slow everything down for Arsenal.
Yeah.
I really genuinely think.
I hear you completely. Yeah,
start, we're done. We're out.
Yeah, no, I hear you completely. I do. I just want to go to a few of these super chats here. Don't know when you hit 450k, Terry, but congrats. I watch TFT a lot. Keep it up. We know you're not an Arsenal fan. Just winding you up. You're pretty fair, to be honest. Listen, I know. And then when I snapped earlier, it's a friendly snap. You know, I come from a culture where I call my best friends. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's all love. It's all love and all's fair in love and war is it. But thank you very much for the compliment. I appreciate that and the praise. Thank you. Next two games for Arsenal are Liverpool and Newcastle. If they lose those games, then the last game versus Saints becomes a must-win just to finish in the top 5.
No, it doesn't, because Chelsea and Forest have to play each other. So one of them will drop points.
Yeah, and Chelsea Newcastle play each other. The only team that isn't really playing anyone else that's in the kind of top 4 mix, top 5 mix is City. City, I don't think play anybody else now that's in that. Everybody else does. So there will be points dropped by others. I saw someone earlier actually on my Twitter. So do you think Arsenal could miss out on Champions League football altogether? No, that I don't see happening. If that does, then that's another conversation. But I don't think that'll be happening. Funny if Arsenal bottle it with City 3 points behind them. Look, I will say this. Look, you're a United fan. I'm doing zero prop to City whatsoever. They're a bigger rival to me than Arsenal. But what I will say is this: they were 5 points ahead of Arsenal on the day their bad run of form back in November started. Since then, Arsenal lost Saka for months. They lost Odegaard. They lost Martinelli. They lost who else they lose? Kai Havertz, etc. for large periods. City also spent £200 million in the window where Arsenal spent nothing. And in that time, there's been an 8-point swing in Arsenal's favour. I don't get the Man City flex. Doesn't make sense to me as a human being. The better team, right? 5 points ahead when that supposed bad run started. You spent more money. Arsenal lost a lot of their players and they created an 8-point swing against you. It's a City L. By the way, Arsenal's season has been horrendous by the standards they've set in the last few years. But it's not a City flex. It's not a City flex.
Depends how you look at it, Tel.
Well, I look at it that way. They were ahead of you. You've created an 8-point swing against them. By the way, it's a micro penis competition. I'm just stating I don't get the flex. I don't get it.
I don't think it's so much a flex. I think it's more, again, it comes back to Arsenal fans saying if City drop off, it's our league. And then if, City go on a run of winning 1 in 13 and then still finish above us, that just shows how crap we have been this season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, listen, maybe I'm just old now. I just look at it like it's like someone who's lost their house and their car and their wife laughing at somebody else who's losing it. It doesn't make sense. It's shit banter. Find good stuff. Find good stuff to joke about, people. Wow, what happened to the momentum? Just excuses for Arsenal.
It's very, very true, actually. I actually have a say in this. I actually think that Arsenal need to end the season well if they don't win the Champions League. That's how I look at it. Because after Arsenal, if they don't go through against PSG, what will be remembered at the end of the season is how have you ended up your season to start next year? I know that Arsenal will get 2 or 3 players, but the majority of these people will be starters next year. The Sakas, the Odegaards, the Rice, Saliba, Timber. And if they finish with a lot of points behind Liverpool, if they finish behind City, I think that will give a little bit of a head start to City. And this is how I see it. I know me and you, Terry, on Straight Facts, we have had this argument before. I genuinely think that Arsenal need to win games. You cannot end the season in 3rd or 4th because that will create, we lost a lot of games and at the end we didn't win the Champions League if they don't win it. Of course, I think they need to finish well. And if City take the momentum and finish 2nd, for example, I think they have a head start.
Can I tell you why I think these conversations are baloney in reality? The season when Arsenal bottled top 4 to Tottenham and everyone said they're not going to make Champions League for years, the momentum was bad. It was the following season where they went on the title race and narrowly missed out to City. There are so many examples of teams ending seasons badly and the next season being much better. There are examples like Liverpool winning the Premier League at a canter in 2019-20, and then the following year being way off the pace, and they ended that season great and they were in high spirits. I do understand momentum going into games now. So winning today after I agree with Lorenzo, starting your strongest available 11 5 days before your biggest game of the season. I think you need momentum from that game going forward. I've criticised it. The problem I have, and it's not an Arsenal thing, it's a football thing. I've seen loads of teams end seasons badly and be excellent the next year. Some end it badly and start badly. Some end it well and start badly. I don't think there's any correlation, personally. I've seen too many examples in every direction for me to look at it and go, the way everybody's ending this season is an indication of how well they're going to do the following year or bad they're going to do.
It's the fear factor. You know that the fear factor plays a massive thing. It's a massive thing in football, the fear factor. And if teams like Bournemouth, if teams like Newcastle don't fear Arsenal when they start the game, especially at the Emirates, if they don't win the Champions League, I think teams will go to next season with them. If Arsenal can punish them, they can. Fine. But Arsenal don't have that fear factor of Manchester City normally. Like teams, we have said that the fear factor is gone from Man City a little bit, and they are trying to get it back a little bit. I genuinely think that Arsenal need to start, especially if you start your starting 11 at home against the Bournemouth team that is not playing for a lot this season. You should be able to put in a lot of performances, unless, as you all guys stated, the players didn't want to play and they were surprised that they were picked in the beginning of the game and they didn't want to put in the tackles. And that tells me that there is a lack of preparation for this game. Arsenal should not have been collapsing in this game. It shouldn't.
Agree.
I think you'll find, Mo, that if we was to go out the Champions League on Wednesday, I think you would find that Arsenal for the remainder of the Premier League games would probably perform a hell of a lot better because the pressure's gone. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's no pressure.
And this is why I call it baloney. Sorry, Brian. It's why I call it baloney. Because everyone's saying you're a bad team and you're shit. Say you go out say you beat PSG, right? And then lose the final, but you smash your last 3 games of the season 3-0 each. No one's going to say, well, I think that momentum means Arsenal might win the league next year. They won't say that either, which is why I just think it is a gender-driven nonsense that holds no real there's no real basis for it. There's no facts that how you end the previous season impacts the following year. I just don't see the facts behind it. It's just a throwaway comment to wind people up, I think.
I disagree with you, but I'm going to tell you one thing. The way Arsenal ended last season is why me and you this season especially said that Arsenal will go and challenge. And they actually, for me, I picked them as favorites because of how they ended last season with the
but
game.
Then Mo, doesn't that go against your logic? Because we ended it really well and we did really bad this season.
You didn't. You started the season all right until the injury of Odegaard, and then when you fell apart. Have you forgotten?
Not really.
You still had a chance. Ashraf, sorry. Ashraf, sorry, apologies. You still had a chance of winning it, and people were still saying that Arsenal can catch Liverpool if they sign a striker in January, this and that, right? So that means, as if you say you started it badly, Liverpool started excellent. Liverpool lost 1 game only, right? But you still had a chance of winning it, and then Saka got injured, Havertz was out, and you're bored, and Arteta decided not to sign a striker. This is when it all fell apart, and you started being 10
even before Saka was injured, we lost to Bournemouth, we lost to Newcastle, we dropped points to Chelsea, we dropped points to was it Fulham or Everton?
Weren't you still 6 points in January behind Liverpool only? Would you still play?
There was a time when we were 9 points behind Liverpool, and we started closing it only in Jan or something when they dropped a few points. We were bad in the first half of the season as well. When I say bad, okay, not bad, but not as good as you and many others.
So you think you were good? So you think it's better to end the season bad and then start the season well?
This is a baloney conversation. That's not. This conversation for me is just. I don't even know what the fuck this conversation is, to be honest. It doesn't really matter, mate. Like I'll be honest, yeah.
So you don't think?
No, I'm pissed off with it with today's game, right? But the way we end the season, the players are going to look at it. If anything, yeah. End the season crap the way you've been all season, yeah, and then go and work bloody hard in the summer. Go and sign the players, the board, back the manager, and sign the players we need. Yeah, improve the team. The players that have been shit, yeah, go and improve in the summer and make sure that next season don't run the way you ended this season, right? At the end of the day, I watched this game. I've played a lot of football, yeah, from young to now. These players don't want to get injured. It's so obvious to see that these players are just scared of getting injured, and that's what's happening in these games. And it's on the manager because he shouldn't be playing them. Nwaneri should be starting. Sterling should be starting. I get Saka and Partey playing, right? Because these guys need more minutes to get more engine, etc. Because they haven't played as much, right? But the rest of the team, we should be rotating now because these players don't want to get injured. It's so obvious. Them little runs, that boost of energy that that they need, they haven't got, and it's because they're scared. Like I can just see it. They're tired as well. Rice is one of the only players that I can sit and watch and say this guy ain't scared. Like he just goes for it still, and he comes off the pitch knackered. His problem is he's been running like a madman every game, and now he's tired. Right, Arteta. Although I don't want him to leave at the end of the season, he has to get stick for today's game 100% because even the substitution time it pissed me off, man. I was swearing at the screen. I was swearing at Arteta when he was bringing the subs on because I was like, brother, do not piss me off and bring these guys on in the 85th minute. That just makes it even worse. I'd have maybe rather them not bring them on because it pissed me off even watching them come on the pitch at the 85th minute. At the end of the day, Arsenal's season in the league, listen, I'm a guy that says you should be playing for pride and trying to finish second. But as every rival will say, and everyone has always said, if you finish second or you finish fourth, it doesn't matter. You've lost the season. Yeah, it don't matter, right? City will try and flex on finishing above us. That's okay. Now we're the measuring post for City as well, apparently, even though they laugh at us. They call us this, they call us that, they call us this, they call us that. Now finishing above us is success in their eyes. It's all right. Listen, we need to just go end the season and go again next season because I think Brandon said that no one seems on the same page. I think in the league, no one seems on the same page. I'm not even talking about only the manager and the players. I'm talking about the players on the pitch to one another. Trossard, might need to leave my club. I'm being honest. He might need to leave the club because he doesn't look like he wants to be an Arsenal player. He really pisses me off. Everything about him right now is pissing me off. I think Rice is the only guy that can leave his head held high. I think Odegaard, first half, I was actually saying, you know what, Odegaard ain't playing bad today. Odegaard's playing all right. And then all of a sudden, the second half comes and he turns crap again. I thought Saliba had an all right game. You can see Gabriel's missing. I don't care what anyone says. Listen, Kivior, he's been great. I don't think by the way, I'm saying we're missing Gabriel, and it's not even because Kivior's done mistakes or anything. His ability has been all right. It's the leadership at the back. It's the leadership that Gabriel, I can see it when I'm watching. Even Raya. Since Gabriel's been injured, Raya seems to be doing crappy passes and doing this. I'm seeing it, and the only thing I can put it down to is Gabriel not playing. That or these guys are just fallen off a cliff. But I think Gabriel puts everyone and keeps everyone in check. I thought Skelly was okay today. Can't even really judge him. He's young and he's one of the better players on the pitch. But listen, at the end of the day, Arsenal will go into PSG. People saying about this PSG game. This game, I don't link it to the PSG game because this season, the league and the Champions League have been two completely different teams when I'm watching them. Arsenal. PSG actually also lost 2-1 today. I know they've won the league and they are fully on the beach in the league, but they've lost today.
No, that's bullshit because if they end the season badly, they won't win it next year.
Yeah, exactly. But I just think that
Arsenal, their entire second team. None of the
Arsenal just need to go into that game and leave it all out on the line. And I think they will do that. I don't think we can watch today's game and fully expect that to be what happens. But I just think Arteta needs to learn from this because I don't know why. Because I know why. Arteta wants to win. Arteta wants to win every game. Arteta wants to finish the season the way Mo says. Yeah, the way Mo said, finish the season strong, winning games. Arteta wants to do that. The problem is the players are scared to get injured. They're a bit tired because we've been left short through injuries, through not signing players, through having a thin squad to be able to rotate comfortably. But the one thing I will ask Arteta is the Nwaneri thing is really confusing. I don't know if he's just trying to protect him a bit, but then he don't play games. So I don't know if he's got a little something and he ain't 100%. We don't know these sort of things, but I can't understand why that kid's not getting more minutes for us. Even the fact that he's only coming on for the last 5. It's like he's got a little knock or something and he's just trying to keep him going and giving him 5 minutes. That's all I can take from it. But yeah, I think it's poor. Bournemouth deserved it. Give credit to Bournemouth.
I want to ask you a question actually about another player because there's a lot of talk that Timber may be missing for the second leg. What was your thoughts, Giuseppe, on Ben White today? Because for me, he looked well off the pace.
Yeah. So Ben White was in and out of the game for me. I thought there was periods where I was like, Ben White's looking all right. Then he got done by that. I can't remember his name. Just tapped it past him and just blitzed him. I was just like, I do like Ben White going forward always, like the overlaps and that part of his game was all right. But yeah, he's it's going to be worrying to have him if Timber don't play. I think Timber will be all right and he'll play. I think he was left out of the squad just because they're saving him for that game. But yeah, for me, Ben White was off the pace, which is you can imagine it being. You've been out for all that time with a knee injury, right? You've had an operation, you've come back, you haven't had mad game time. This guy, your Netflix FC, I don't know what he means by Netflix FC. Next season,
every new season.
Yeah, the thing is, at the end of the day, Arsenal are the only team that's never allowed to have a bad season. Apparently, it's just the thing is, I'm not even trying to defend this season. I think it's been crap, and I blame the board as well, mostly because I don't think they backed us in the summer. But so many teams have these bad seasons. City have got no stick for having a crap season. I don't care if they've got credit in the bank; they've had a crap season. There should be people getting onto them. If anything,
do you know what I'd say, Giuseppe? I'll defend City slightly here. Don't like to do it, but I will. It's like Man United's bad season, Chelsea's. The talking and the banter's happened because it happened 4 or 5 months ago. Arsenal's is kind of happening now at the end. So I think because it's fresh. Does that make sense? People, to a degree, even with my club, I see it. People are a little bit bored of even winding us up. It's like, United lost again. Spurs, like they're about to lose 20 games. Who's really going to care? Like it won't get any traction. I think that's a big part of it.
And people are loving it, by the way. We finished second 3 years in a row now. People are loving it.
Maybe we should finish third so that we don't have that stat.
Maybe we should actually win the trophy.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, right? We're having a poor season, and it's and for me, that stuff can happen. I know we haven't won it, but you're still competing at a high level for 2 seasons. Sometimes you can have a drop off. Stuff can't go your way. I can accept that as long as they come back next season. Well, I can't accept that, but it is what it is. Come back next season. People think we're going to be trash again next season. I don't think we will be. But
when would you say is the deadline for you, Giuseppe, with the manager? When would you say, yeah, this is it? It's
when he gets probably next. I'd say next season because he'll get backed in the summer. I believe. I'm waiting for him to be backed correctly.
But he was back.
No, but he was back.
He was 800 million.
No. Listen, I'll have this debate all day. 800 million is such a cop out. All these people that say 800 million, the piece of crap team that we had before we spent that money, we needed like 24 players. No, because 800 million is not a lot. For how many players?
He never spent 800 million. It's just over 700.
Yeah, listen, at the end of the...
It's 750. I agree with Giuseppe.
Can you take over hosting for a few minutes, Mo? I've just got to run out 2 minutes. Thank you.
No worries.
For me, yeah, right. The money spent, right? I get it. People say he spent money. He spent money. Tottenham has spent more money than us. United has spent as much as us, if not more than us. We need.
But can I ask you something, Giuseppe, for it? But Ashraf, okay. Do you know why Arsenal are the only team this season that should not have been allowed to have a bad season? Even though I know the injuries, me and Egal have been talking on his channel and on my channel as well a lot about the injuries. There's a lot of videos on Egal Talks Football. But you know why you're the only team in the league this season that shouldn't be allowed a bad season? You know why, right? Like you must know why. There's a reason why Man United are crap. You know why City are allowed to. Man United are crap already. You know why Chelsea won. Exactly, Giuseppe. Oh my God, believe it or not.
No, but I understand. But once again, I look at it like this, Mo, right? I agree. By the way, I'm not here defending Arsenal.
Yeah, but you defended it. You defended it in the beginning of your monologue.
No, I've said, we have many issues in this team. That is pure. The injuries. I'm not even counting the injuries as much as we didn't do what we needed to do in the summer. I said at the end of the summer window, they have set this guy up, this season, to not win the league. How can you go? How can you listen? We've got look at our attack, bruv. Look at our attack for real.
Yeah, but that's his choice.
Let him finish. Guys, please let him finish.
Yeah.
You're cooking, bro. Go.
We went till the end of last season. Yeah, we went till the end of last season and we narrowly missed out to Man City. No injuries, and everyone was we were blowing teams away. Everyone was on form, right? You know form don't last. You know injuries happen, right? You go into the summer after doing that and you make money, bruv. Yeah, you sign Moreno, you sign Calafiori, but then you let like 6 players go. and you let like 3 attackers go. I know Smith Rowe ain't maybe good enough to win us the league. I know Nelson ain't good enough to win us the league. These guys have all left, and you haven't brought the players in. You've weakened our squad. You've weakened our options, and you've the season. For example, if we sign Gyökeres this summer, for example, I'll be gassed, but it pisses me off because he should have been signed last summer. And we're like a season behind.
I'll tell you why that's BS.
But Giuseppe,
guys, let Ashraf land, please.
Let me tell you why that's BS. So, look, I'm not someone who's on the camp of Arteta's a crap manager. I've said many times he's a good manager. I think he's just run out of his time, in my opinion. The reason why all you're saying is false and doesn't matter is because the board and the owners, I don't think, are people who come to the manager and say, we need you to sign Kai Havertz. This 65 million is only for Kai Havertz. Once again, Giuseppe,
we didn't have to sign Calafiori. We didn't have to sign Mikel Merino. We could have bought an attacker.
The reality is the way our owners run, unlike Florentino Perez, unlike Khlefi, unlike City's owners, they don't get involved in the players we get. They come to the manager, they come to the sporting director. Here is your budget for the next 3 years. You do with it whatever the hell you want to do. They might limit how much you can spend. They might limit how much you can spend on a player. They might limit how much salary you pay on a player. They're not going to tell you it has to go on this player. If someone like Mikel Arteta had a certain budget last summer, and Giuseppe, you and I did streams, so we all agree we needed a striker last year, not even this year. He decided to go spend 65 million on Kai Havertz. If he took that same money and said, hey, you know what? Gyökeres is the same amount. I want to get Gyökeres instead. The board would not have said, sorry, that's not allowed. You have to get Kai Havertz.
No, but here's
this summer, once again, bro, I'm just going to land on this. This summer, I agree that we needed to get a left back and a midfielder because I know we struggled last season with it. However, it should have been a left back, a midfielder, and a striker. If you, as a manager, knew that.
So we agree.
1 second, Giuseppe. No, we don't. Because
he didn't sign he didn't get the money for the striker,
Giuseppe,
bro.
you're going to know where I'm going. Giuseppe, stop. Manager is not stupid. He's obviously sitting with the board. They tell him, hey, by the way, come here. Let's discuss the next year's budget. You don't think the manager, Josh Kroenke just comes to Arteta. Hey, Mikel, guess what? Tomorrow is 100 million. That's it. Stop. Nothing. It's planned from way before. So when he knew that the budget is only 100 million or 75 million or 80 or how much ever it was, he should have prioritized a striker over the other players. Do not tell me. You guys are making it seem. I'm sorry, I'm going to finish on this. You guys are making it seem like the owners came. You guys are making it seem like the owners came to the manager and said, hey, don't worry. We have a 300 million budget. And then after 1 month told him, stop. It's only 2 players are done. That's not how it works.
No, but
Giuseppe, can we get the guy? Can I get my man's opinion, please? Giuseppe.
He targeted that at me, so I've got to reply one thing to it. Yeah, you just said about the money. You just said about the money, bro, in the summer. So we spent 30 something million on Mikel Merino and just under 30 million on things. So our budget was 60 million. So it was either sign them two or sign a striker, right? If you want to say it like that. First of all,
sign a striker.
What striker was you getting in the summer for 60 million? You wasn't getting Gyökeres in the summer for 60 million.
65 now.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't getting him in the summer for that much. Yeah. By the way, I'm just saying it like this. Once again, it doesn't matter what you say the budget is. That goes back to my point. No, hold on. The thing is, my whole point is the board should have given him more, bruv. We made money.
But how do we know the board didn't give him the money?
At the end of the day, listen, we can sit here and say he wasted money on Kai Havertz. If you want to say that, you can say that. Yeah, he didn't sign a striker then. But at the end of the day, does not mean that he made a mistake then. Does it mean he got backed correctly this window? Because none of us here would have ended the summer transfer window and said that was a good window. We all sat here and said it was terrible. And you can't tell me that Arteta didn't want a striker or didn't want an attacker when all January he was shouting at the board saying, we need an attacker. We need attackers. And we still didn't sign anyone. Yeah, we wanted Sesko. We couldn't get him. We wanted people. We didn't get him. The one thing I'll say, this team, our squad.
So what was his plan B? When Sesko said no, what was the plan B?
But here, Ash, you remember
we had no money. They gave him no money to spend. You say you spent all this money.
Come on, you cannot be that naive.
Let me jump in for a second, please. I'm going to go to Brandon because he's got to leave. Then Robert's going to speak next before we go to Cons and Egal. Brandon, final word from you on that.
Let's just say that what you're saying is right, Giuseppe, yeah? Right, and the budget. And I'm in agreement. I think, Arsenal in the summer should have spent a lot more than what we did. Yeah. The one element we cannot ignore is at this moment in time, aside from the starting 11 that play on the pitch, a lot of these bench players or these substitution players don't have the trust of the manager, right? So if you know, and he would have known going into the summer what his budget was, then you know that you're not going to have the budget to replace the likes of Smith Rowe, to replace the likes of Fabio Vieira, to replace the likes of the players that we let go. So why let go of them? The manager clearly signed off on that. Yeah. So whether they're good enough or not, for a squad purpose, surely, yeah, you don't let them players leave the football club unless you know you've got guarantees in terms of money and being able to replace them. So that also is where the manager is at fault. Because he would have signed off.
All right. Can I say
I agree.
one
By
thing?
the way, I don't say the manager's at no fault whatsoever, by the way.
Yeah.
I just think that the board, is on. I'm more on the board than the manager with the transfer stuff. That is my point. Arteta effed up many times. There's signings. I'll give you a list of signings that I think you shouldn't have made. Right, the signings in the summer, people now will say we didn't need Calafiori, we didn't know about Lewis Skelly. No man here would have told us Lewis Skelly would have been playing game in, game out for us before the season started. We needed a left back, we needed Moreno in the midfield, and bearing in mind, Moreno's actually been our best striker this season, which is ironic in itself. But I think Arteta takes blame. In my opinion, Arteta has. I don't know what happened with getting rid of these players. That's where I'm on Arteta. He shouldn't have got rid of Reece Nelson, and he shouldn't have got rid of Smith Rowe if he knew we weren't signing. That just screams to me that he believed that we were going to sign more players. We actually bid for Sesko. Yeah, we tried to get Sesko. So I can't understand if we didn't have money or the board was like, we ain't just buying anyone. Yeah, because for example, it might be, but if you sign this random striker now, next summer, you can't get a striker. So Arteta would sit there and go, well, I don't want to just buy any striker. I'd rather buy a striker that I want, like an Isaac, Gyökeres.
So then that's also an Arteta. That was also Arteta's choice then.
But you would moan if instead of that, he'd went and bought Dominic Solanke. And
you know what? What I will say, the debate's great. You know what? Guys, I want to go to Robert because Robert's been waiting a long time. I appreciate the debate. Robert, what are you here to say, brother?
Nah, I'm just pissed. I'm pissed as fuck. I'm mad. I'm furious. I was punching air and everything today. Not gonna lie. Okay, how do I put this? I've been a delusional Arsenal fan since even when West Ham beat us, we lost to West Ham every single day. I was like, we can still win the league. We can still catch up to Liverpool. We can still do all this thing. I understood his game plan when it came to Everton, resting the players and all of that. I was mad. I was like, if you wanted to rest the players, at least give them minutes or something. But today showed me that all Arsenal fans, don't get your hopes up. Don't book that ticket to, what do you call that place? Bayern. Don't do it. Don't do it because
you can come to Bilbao with us if you want.
No, not that.
Okay.
But
Remontada.
Don't do that. No remontada. There's no remontada happening in the Parc de France.
Terry, you're the lesser of two evils.
No, but like today, I
would rather Spurs win it. I'm not gonna
lie.
Whoa, get out of here.
Let's calm down now.
Guys, honestly, I say that for two reasons. For starters, I'm not from North London, so while I hate Tottenham, I hate United more because I grew up with more United fans. Secondly, I just think about it from a logical perspective. The reality is, if United win a Europa League, they get Champions League money, they get a step closer to getting back to competing. I don't think winning Europa League changes anything about Spurs. They will still remain Spurs. Their owners will still,
regardless of winning, United are going to compete again in the near future anyway. It's Manchester
United. But not winning the Europa League and not getting Champions League money.
They won it before they can win it again. That was fine.
Your own owner is coming out saying
you lost the plot.
No, if anything, giving Spurs a trophy to elevate Spurs.
I'm saying something logical. You guys are saying something emotional. You guys are coming from an emotional place.
I'm coming from fans and
they are going to come back up eventually. Might not going to be 70.
Yeah, but Conor, we've been saying that for 10 years. We've been saying that for 10 years. Spurs are never going to come.
Yeah, Spurs is never coming back.
On top of that, it's something that they're going to have bragging rights over us.
Who cares? That's what I said. It's emotional. You're not thinking about it logically. I'm thinking what can help Arsenal have a better chance of winning the next 5 years. The last thing we need
Your point
is
is logical. I'll give
Chelsea
you
or
that.
United also
what it
coming
is?
to
It's 'cause you
compete
don't
with
live
us
in
like
England,
Liverpool
Barn.
and City.
Yeah, having
So
Spurs.
I
don't
get
live-
your
I
point.
hear it.
I get the logic behind it, but you're not thinking the bigger picture.
They're winning
What's the
another
bigger
European
picture?
title for us.
Fans-
You're not
Spurs
thinking
fans
about
will
the fact
banter
that
us
Man
for the next 1
United.
year. Bigger
United-
picture is Spurs fans
The
bantering
bigger
us.
picture is
How's that?
bigger picture is Newcastle won a trophy. Man City could potentially win a trophy this season. Then you're gonna have Liverpool already won the
Egal,
league.
that's
Man
social
United-
media banter.
Man
That's
United
not
won
bigger
trophies
picture.
the last 2
That's
seasons.
short-term. That's Twitter banter. That's
It doesn't
Twitter,
matter who
the
wins at the end
bigger
of the day.
picture.
We're
not
The
in the
bigger
final,
picture
bro.
is if
It
you
does
guys
matter
think
who
Arsenal have a
wins.
better
Man
chance,
United.
if you guys
It
think
does
Arsenal
bloody
have a
matter.
better chance
Hey,
of
listen,
competing next 5
let's
years,
hope Bodo
we need to
Glimt come
compete
back
against
and then
best
beat you
teams.
guys.
I would rather.
I'm sorry, guys. I really don't understand the point. Chelsea's place in the Champions League has nothing to do with Man United or Spurs winning Europa League.
It doesn't.
Like, it doesn't.
Yeah,
I think you guys are like, I don't know if Spurs
I'm
or
not
Man
saying
United
that.
win.
But
What does it
yeah,
have to do with Chelsea? I don't get it.
I get Ash's point.
I just don't want to
I-
deal with Spurs fans winning a trophy on us going trophyless. I'd rather Man United, who've won it 2 years in a row.
look,
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's emotional. in my opinion. It's
I
not
understand.
logical.
I understand both sides of the argument. I also get what Ash is saying. If you're someone that's born and bred in and around North London and or Spurs, or like you see them as your biggest rival, I kind of get it. But yeah, look, I get it completely. But as I say, listen, on a real level, I was joking. Man United are not even in the final yet. We are not in the final
are.
yet.
Mr. Humble
Have
over
some
here.
shame.
Oh,
Have
man.
some shame.
Harry,
Have
you
some
have-
shame. You
you have
literally
both
said
legs in
Arsenal
the
against
final.
Real Madrid. Bro, said on streams, Arsenal job is done beating Real Madrid 3-0.
and
You're
we were
beating
going away.
You guys
Bilbao.
know though, but you
It's
guys know.
Bilbao.
But you guys know that I'm a little bit like, you know, I have a sort of a pathway and a conversation regularly with the football gods. I don't want to lose that relationship with them.
Terry, in what multiverse? Terry, in what
favorite
multiverse
team
does
is
Man
going to
United
a final.
concede 4 goals without a reply at the Old Trafford?
Yeah, I mean, Man United will win the return leg. Have some shame.
Hang on. When you say in what multiverses do we concede 4? We did that and we conceded 4 without reply in the last round at home.
Terry,
Okay.
Terry, you have nothing to worry about. And I'll
That's
tell
fair.
everybody, Arsenal lost today. Arsenal lost today, and I feel like everyone's talking about all the other things, but they're not talking about the main issue, in my opinion. Number one, we played a full-strength team pretty much and still lost. That was silly. If you're gonna either you rotate or you don't do the half thing, right? And I felt like some of those players were not fully into it. So I agree with some of the guys. Number two, I'm kind of pissed off Brendan and Ashraf left because I was gonna tell them to the face, you guys are fake angry. You guys are fake angry because at the end of the day, if we go and win on Wednesday, that's all that matters. And you won't give a shit.
But
if we
we're
finish
not winning on
second,
Wednesday.
If we finish third, if we finish fourth, it
What is
doesn't
this
matter.
energy, bro? You just said you're
It
more
doesn't-
delusional.
It doesn't
Arsenal fan.
matter.
What's
It
this
doesn't
energy?
I
matter.
am delusional,
It
but
doesn't
I'm
matter
saying
because
that we're not winning on
one
Wednesday.
second, let me finish, bro. Let me finish. Everyone is fake cheesed. They're like a little baby crying for something, and the moment you give it to them, they're happy because they just want one thing, and that one thing is to see Arsenal succeed. I get it, but everyone celebrates and deals with things differently. I personally, I'm looking at this result today. Although it was poor, we conceded 2 set-piece goals. We've now conceded 3 set-piece goals in 2 games. That is something we have to look at. There's little things you can look at in these games and say we can take away and we can try to improve on. But overall, if we go and win on Wednesday, no one will care about our league position this season. No one will care about what happened in this game or the last game or the game before that. They'll just say Arsenal's fully focused on the Champions League. And the same way how we speak about Arsenal not being first, why is it that all of a sudden we care if Man City finish above us or Newcastle finish above us? Isn't the goal try to be finishing above everybody and winning the league? Since when is it finishing second, third, fourth, all of a sudden everyone cares? But when the last 2 seasons when we finished second, none of you guys even wanted to speak about finishing second because we didn't win the goddamn league. Now all of a sudden, second, third, fourth matters to the same people who were telling me just earlier today, why did we play a strong team? Champions League football is already secured. Why do we care about this game? Why do we play? I was hearing people say, rotate the goalkeeper, play Neto.
But Egal, this is the reason.
Rotate
This is the
Saliba.
reason.
So the same people who are telling me rotate Saliba, rotate Neto, rotate all these guys are now coming here saying Arteta out. We lost to Bournemouth 2 games in a row this season. We lost to Bournemouth. Bournemouth did the double over us.
Egal,
Oh my
our
God.
angry,
next
though.
2
You can't be
games,
angry.
ridiculous.
you
You can't
can't
be
be angry
with the poor
because our
results.
next
No,
2
bro,
games,
it's
our
fake
next 2 games
cheese.
is Liverpool
It's
and
fake
Newcastle.
cheese.
But
It's
no,
fake
our next
anger. It's fake everything.
It's not
the
fake.
Reality
After 2
situation
games
is,
is Liverpool
the reality
and
situation is
Newcastle.
tomorrow you are gonna forget about it.
Egal, it's not fake
before
anger.
Egal is not fake anger because if we lose,
Wednesday after we get the job done versus PSG,
that's
everyone's
confident.
gonna shut their mouths and they're gonna be like, "Yo,
But the
we
thing
are
is,
in a
it's
final."
but Egal,
And
the
that
thing,
is
You
what
can be
matters.
angry after a
That is
game,
what we're
innit?
here
You
for.
could be
We
angry
are
after
here to
any
get to the
game that you
final,
lose,
and
Egal.
I don't care what
for you,
anybody
that
tells
game,
me
you're
about
fucked.
Bournemouth, about Everton, about Nottingham Forest, about Manchester United. All these draws and defeats up until this point don't mean shit if we go to the final and win the Champions League. So
Here's the
all I'm
big-
saying
Yeah,
is,
that's
on my
if
end,
now.
you're right.
Now,
on my
that's a
end,
scenario. That's not
Egal,
reality
but
right
the
now.
I
thing
don't want
is
to hear
that
from
we're
you
not
guys.
going to the
Listen to
final.
what I'm
But
saying.
that's a
We're not
made up
going to the
scenario
final.
in your head.
We're not-
Guys.
If we have,
all our
Let Egal
eggs,
finish, please.
all our cards are pushed into one bracket, and all of a sudden you guys are getting mad because somebody else is trying to poke fun of other things that have nothing to do with our main objective. You guys want to win trophies, so talk about winning trophies. Don't celebrate a win versus Real Madrid and then start crying after we lose one game. Throw your toys at the prem after we lose a game versus.
no, but
No,
like here's the
you guys
thing,
are
Egal,
flip-flopping.
nobody was crying against
Robert,
PSG.
Robert, let me ask you this question, Robert. I get where you're coming from, and I know you have not been a fan. You've been in, you remember, you super chat a lot, and I respect that a lot, brother. Egal is directly addressing the Arsenal fans who, for the last 2 years, have said second place and 20th place are the same thing. We didn't win the league. Don't celebrate being in the top 4. It means nothing. If any of those people have a problem coming third now or fourth, that is hypocritical, correct?
Yes.
And I think that they're the people Egal is addressing. Someone who hasn't said that, it's fair for them to be annoyed, like Giuseppe, because Giuseppe has never said that. Egal is addressing a subcategory of Arsenal fans who have, and I know for a fact for the last 2 years, said second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, they're all the same position. If you're not winning, you're not winning. There is no, if they get angry about coming third now, they out themselves as hypocrites. And Egal is right to call that out. However, where Egal's also, again, I thought Egal was right. Playing your strong, and we've all criticized it today, but Egal just wasn't here. Starting your strongest team today and not getting the job done, that should be criticized. That absolutely should be. And we spoke about that. I think those two things can be right at the same time, personally. But Egal is talking about a very specific group of people.
But
can I say something?
I've got to go. Let me just say this before I go. You can be angry, Egal, though. It's not fake angry just because you're angry after a loss. Because after an individual game, yeah, you watch it with a lot of emotion. You can be pissed off after the game, right? I'm angry after the game. Not that I'm saying the manager out. Also, the manager, people calling for the manager's head, in my opinion, is justified. I don't personally want him gone at the end of the season. But if you want, like, I know Conor wants him gone. I can't get onto him for wanting that. I can understand and I actually get everything that he's saying, and he just don't see the future the way I maybe see the future. We'll have to wait and see. One of us will maybe be right, one of us will maybe be wrong. For me, sorry, just finish. Anyone, as Arsenal fans, we shouldn't get onto each other for wanting him to stay or wanting him to go. We should just all if you want him to go, fair enough. You've got a right to want him to go. There's reasons, justified reasons why you should want him to go. There's also justified reasons why you should want him to stay. So we'll just go back and forth all the time, and there's just no point doing it anymore. He's staying
there's
anyway.
One more thing. There's one more thing, Giuseppe. There's priorities in life. And I feel like as Arsenal fans, sometimes we throw our priorities out the window. For example, certain people on the panel today did not want Bukayo Saka to kick a ball for the rest of the season. So it just goes to show you, sometimes you need to put your bias aside, your opinions aside, and just be like, you know what? Priority is to try to win. And if we're going to try to win, we might as well try to do it this season, no matter what.
Yeah. But here's the thing: if the priority was, my bad, if the priority was Champions League, then why the hell would you play your first team? If the priority, like, that's where my question is.
That's the first thing I said.
Yeah. But that's do you know what, Rob? I was talking to my brother about this earlier on today. Where he was driving up to Huddersfield. Congratulations to Leighton Orient, by the way. Brilliant they were today. And we were talking about this, and he was just asking. He doesn't do the social media. He doesn't have any social media. He's like, I don't even do it. And we were kind of talking about the fact that this type of thing. I think wanting Arteta out because you want a better manager, you think the last 3 years is enough and you should move on, I think is a fair view to have. But adding we were second and now we're fourth, as a reason to get rid of him when you have said, the same person has said before, 2nd to 10th to 20th is the same position. That is what's being called out. It's not what someone wants. It's the rationale for it. The same as someone who will say, "Oh, look, I told you we would win the Champions League." Yeah, but you said we would go out in the league phase. You said we would go out in the if they're predicting you going out in every round and then you go out in the semis, they're not really right. They're just kicking the. So I think it's about having grown-up conversations around this stuff. Con, what did you make of today, brother? We had a lot of views on the show today. I'll give you mine in case you missed it. I felt it was a terrible mistake from Arteta to pick the first 11. I thought the team went out there and didn't deliver any intensity. The collapse was awful in the second half. It was a stuff of nightmares for Arsenal fans. But how did you see it today?
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see all of it because I was out for a bit of the first half. I did see the Declan Rice goal, and I did actually see the goals we conceded as well, so I was a bit in and out. However, I agree it was a complete. Listen, I do agree with Egal's point with we want to finish in a high position in the league, but we also want to go ahead and progress to the final of the Champions League. So we're in a bit of a predicament here. In a sense, I mean, we've got Liverpool and Newcastle after this if we still want to solidify top 5 this season. Mm-hmm. So it could be still possible that we do fall out of it with those 2 really tough games, and we've obviously got Southampton at the end. So it is a predicament of who to put into what team. Do we rotate fully? Do we keep the same? I'll be honest with you, I wanted to rotate. Listen, I know that I want Champions League football still, obviously, and I want to still retain it, clearly. But it just made sense. I mean, you look at PSG today. I know they've won the league. They're in a different scenario to us in terms of guaranteed Champions League football, but they rotated fully. And now I'm a bit paranoid. I mean, I don't think anyone picked up injuries there, obviously, apart from Timber, who wasn't even in the squad. But I'm just now paranoid that the players are going to be a bit more knackered than the PSG players. They're going to be more up for it, a bit more fight. There's all these questions I put out. I think Arteta's made a huge mistake. And also the fact that, listen, I get we didn't rotate, but come on, man. 79th minute to make the first sub? Really? Come on. And again, I agree with what everyone said earlier about Nwaneri. Why is this guy being underused so much? Underutilized, sorry. What's the reasoning behind that? We've seen the kid's got talent. He's got drive. He's got confidence. Why not utilize him in the team? It makes sense. There's nothing wrong with flipping around a couple players, Mikel. I know obviously we have Ben White in today, who, in my opinion, didn't look fantastic at all. I think he had a couple moments, but he doesn't look anywhere near fully ready to start again. I'm even more worried, to be honest, Terry. Saka had opportunities today, but wasn't on top of his game. I agree with what Giuseppe said earlier. Listen, I do like Trossard, but I think it's time to go for him as well. He's He's not the player that we need as an attacking option anymore. I mean, off the bench for maybe a lower table side, probably, or maybe just as a bench boost, I guess, because he does come off the bench more often than none and actually do something better than starting. But wasn't great today. But my actual captain, stepping up today, Declan Rice, great goal. Big up Declan. But I will criticise when we conceded that goal, the first one. Him and Lewis Skelly were just sitting there like statues. Should have done better defensively. But Odegaard, fair play for getting the assist. But did you all catch that moment when he had a chance to have a shot on goal and he didn't take it, and he just flopped it. It lost possession.
And then he went down easy for a foul and didn't get it that moment.
That moment, yes, but I want to prioritise the moment before, which is why I'm prioritising it is he's not a risk taker, Terry. He's not a risk taker. Yeah, he's not. Take a shot on goal. What harm will it have taking a shot on goal, Terry, in my opinion? What harm will it have? And this is what I mean. And I think his confidence is shot. I think his confidence is completely gone. And that, again, worries me for a game like PSG where you're going to have to take risks. Have a shot on goal. Saka had a shot on goal with his right foot, even though we know it's not great, but he nearly scored from it. It's like you've got to take moments in football. You've got to take risks. Have the shot on goal. Don't play the easy pass.
Yeah, Cons, I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't. You mentioned Trossard there as an example. You need to improve on that. By the way, Barcelona are 1-0 down. You have to improve on that. Odegaard, I got into it with Roms on friendly. Me and Roms are we're good pals.
Respect Terry. I'm gonna have to go. But...
No worries, bro. About him being better than Bruno and all of this stuff. And there are things aesthetically on the eye that he's better than him at. But in terms of progressing the ball, in terms of creating chances, in terms of his defensive work, in terms of scoring goals and assisting, which is that I still think is both of their main jobs. He's just not over the last 4 or 5 years. He's not on that level. And this season, you've needed him to step up, and it is about taking risks. And it's why I've always defended Bruno. It's why I've always defended Trent. It's why I've always defended KDB when people say they just spam. It's not spamming. Saying someone spams a ball into the box is a colloquial term for that's used to try and undermine and diminish an ability that somebody has. You need a player that is willing to take that shot. You need a player that's willing to put the ball into that danger area. Yes, you might lose possession if somebody doesn't make the right run, if somebody doesn't connect with the ball, if their shot isn't on target. But if you don't take the risk, if you don't play the pass, you don't score the goals. And he is just, he's a very talented player.
Yeah.
But he's just, as you say, he's too risk averse. And
yeah, he is.
You guys need to, in the summer, for me, Odegaard is a player that you need to look to improve on. And yes, he's been part of building you back to being a title contending side in the last 3 years. But I think you have to look beyond him now. I really do.
I agree. I think he's a talented player, Terry. I just don't think that he's that game-changing player that we need in these kind of moments now for a semi-final. It's nothing against him, personally. Talented player. On the ball, on his day, if he really has a good match, like against Man City, for example, the 5-1, phenomenal. I can count times where Martin Odegaard has been very good for Arsenal. But when it comes to crunch time, with a good couple of these players, when it comes to crunch time and you've got to perform on the big stage to get us to that trophy, you disappear. And we can't have that in our squad. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, go on, mate, go on, and then we'll go to the Super Chat.
But here's the thing. I don't know if it's Arteta telling him to just telling them, hey, keep the ball or die, or if it is a confidence thing, or if it is an injury thing. Also, this match today is what I noticed is that Odegaard and Trossard cannot play in midfield together at all. They practically do the same thing in the middle of the field. And we saw today that because of the fact of Trossard's height, Raya going long, Rice had to play the center forward, the falls forward, and Trossard coming deep. And they were practically doing the same thing. They were slowing the run down. They were because Rice will get the ball, bring it down, and then give it to Trossard and Odegaard, and they do the same thing. Take extra touches, slow it down, get their ball out of their feet very late, and it's kind of frustrating because not. I understand Trossard is like a goal machine; he takes the risk, but it's like if Odegaard's not taking the risk and you want to take the risk, but you don't have the skills, the technique like Odegaard to get away from your players and then take the risk, why are you playing him?
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. I really, really do. I get where you're coming from completely. We're going to go to some of these super chats here. This here says Gunnar's claim. Sorry, we've done that super chat earlier. Newcastle have second in their own hands. Yeah, they do. They do. But it's also, again, that logic also means, Jay, that Chelsea won't be able to catch Arsenal, because if they've got it in their own hands, Newcastle, and they beat Chelsea will be 7 points behind. Well, no, not necessarily, because if Chelsea win tomorrow, they'll be 4 points behind. No, still right, because they'll be 4 points behind. If Newcastle then beat them, they'll be 4 points behind with one game to go. So, mathematically, Arsenal can still drop out, but I think they basically need one more point, Arsenal, when they're guaranteed Champions League football. So I think they'll get. I can't imagine them losing 3 on the bounce personally, but we'll see. Next 2 games for Arsenal are Liverpool and Newcastle. If they lose those games, then the last game versus Saints becomes must win. It is, and they will beat Southampton on the last day of the season. They're just going to. I just can't see Arsenal not doing that personally. Southampton are awful. Arsenal are got to be careful after PSG is Liverpool and Newcastle. Can you imagine fans like Brandon crying at the end of the season because Arsenal didn't win the league? When Arteta took over, he's transformed the club and the standards, and I'm a Chelsea fan. What would you make of that comment there from Gilno, that people don't like Arteta, but 5 years ago you wouldn't have been crying about missing out on a league title, and maybe you should give Arteta a bit more respect?
Completely different perspective. You know, it's completely different span of time. from where we were then.
Exactly.
Of course, like it's just. But now you look at the situation where we're in. We're now finishing second for 3 years in a row. It comes to a point where it is unacceptable, and you've got to look at it in a sense of how many more second places, dare I say, lower, do we have to go on season-wise for us to actually go ahead and win the trophy? It's two different perspectives, in my opinion, of time.
Exactly. Like if Arteta was picking up like an FA Cup, EFL Cup, something within those 5 years, then I'll be like, yeah, justifiable.
100%.
You can give him another year or
Yeah,
something, or going far into the Champions League or something. But
yeah, it's. Do you know what's funny? I asked my dad earlier today, who's a Spurs fan. Do you reckon, Dad, you've had a better season than Arsenal if you win the Europa League? And my dad's response, his actual words were, "Shut the fuck up, son." I said, "Why, Dad? Like, I'm messing around with him." He said, "Shut up." And my dad has a different. My dad's just diehard Spurs, but he just maybe this is where I've got developed it as I've got older. My dad just doesn't do the petty fan stuff. And he said, look at this. My dad runs estate agents. And he said, if my estate agents has got a goal this month to earn £100,000 in revenue, but we earn 80,000, 90,000, we didn't hit our target. If the estate agents next door has a target of 5,000 in revenue, but they hit 10,000, have they had a better month than me? I said, no. He went, just because they've exceeded their target doesn't mean it's better. And that's where my dad views it, right? But I think that also goes in reverse to the criticism of Arteta. When he's building you up to get back to this kind of level, there's more leeway with, okay, well, we missed out on winning the league. I know we didn't win a trophy, but we're growing and we're growing. By the way, I'm speaking like I'm an Arsenal fan for a moment. But when you've been in 3 title races 3 years running, I think that's also where you go, right, well, a line's got to be drawn. A line's got to be drawn. And Conor is the first gooner I ever heard say this, so I had a lot of respect for him. It made a lot of sense. Thank you for the build. Thank you for getting us here. I'm never going to diminish any of that. The problem that you have, I think, with the conversation is the Arsenal fans that don't want to give him any credit for getting you to this point. So I think you get a lot of Arsenal fans that will fight his corner. I think if every Arsenal fan just admitted he did a fantastic job getting you to this position, I think there'd be a much more open conversation about replacing him. I think it's because people feel that he's being overly attacked. So, yeah, great super chat, but I do think there is room to talk about replacing Arteta.
But the question at the end of the day is, like, when you are talking about replacing Mikel Arteta, who will the Cronkies bring in? That's every single time.
And I also get that, but that's also a bit of again. That's
because we need a win now.
That's a conversation to also have, but the problem with those conversations is I think too many people go to the extreme. You'll hear Don Robbie say, "There's no one out there." Well, that isn't true. You'll have others that will just say, "Bring me anybody." Well, that's also fucking dumb. So I think you have to have a mixture. I'm certain Arsenal starters were upset they played today when they have a big game Wednesday after doing too much. Stoppage time says Arsenal fans really have to say the league means nothing because teams below them who can catch up will push so much pressure and cost us the Champions League. Maybe they're saying that. I did find it funny how. I did find it funny how Terry has slated our performance today for 90% of the live show. If he says anything objective, he's glazing. Get over yourselves. Well, that's social media for you, mate. And I did blow up earlier, but it was jarring. I'm sorry that I didn't say the nastiest possible words about Arsenal. It's terrible. Everyone bear witness to the chat today, but we are the unbearable fan base when we go through on Wednesday. Don't play victim to the response to give. Giuseppe, all did you yappy on semi-final before the PSG game, and you never showed up on the match reaction excuse. You still believe your midfield is better than PSG. That's half a man, half amazing. I haven't seen you in ages. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, you can't answer that now, but yeah. Arsenal were not allowed to have bad seasons. 5 seasons with 6 Marvel phases. Where are your standards? Jesus, is what he said there. I feel sad for Brandon. He is the only Arsenal fan who never said we will catch Liverpool, especially my brother Egal. Gal looks down on my team. What you say now, we are champions of the the league. You are, and Chomba, you're right to call out certain people. Gunnar Souls is one of them. I ain't seen Gunnar Souls for ages. The season Spurs reached the Champions League final is very similar to this Arsenal season. Didn't sign any players in the window, were in the Premier League race until January, and then limped to third. Had injuries in the 11. So Mo has a point. Look, Mo does. Listen, I'm not saying that Arsenal should be happy ending the season this way. All I'm pointing out is that we've seen examples of Arsenal in the last 5 years end it badly and do much better the next year, end it poorly, end it well and not be as good the following year. So I just don't buy the logic that this form today dictates next season. I just don't buy it personally, especially as you're going to buy new players as well. We now got fans defending KSE. Can't make it up. Honestly, they don't deserve anything. They fall for the same KSE trick over and over again. Don't wake up the sleeping United giant. Yes, please do wake it up. Please do wake it up. Terry, before the UEFA quarterfinals, you said if United get Spurs in the final, you would definitely win without a doubt. I mean, the football gods are already listening. I know. I'm trying to pretend I didn't say that. Shh. Don't let anyone know. It's not coming third that's the issue. They can't lose the Champions League. Well, they can lose the Champions League. They're not even of the 4 teams remaining before a ball was kicked. They're full favourites. They can lose it. If Arsenal didn't start the first team and lost, fine. They started the first team and won. They would be good for confidence boost for PSG. This was the worst scenario. Everyone started and they lost. Listen, Chelsea, I couldn't agree with you. I called it out hour and 25 minutes ago. Terrible decision making from Arteta today, and he should be criticised for it. Egal, Neto can't play today. Oh, I didn't know he couldn't play today, but thank you, Chelsea. I appreciate that. Look, I want to thank everybody that has tuned in. This video is going to redirect you to Footy Judge Mo's channel, so go and support him over there. We are back. When did he get sacked, Terry? Never-ending journey, it seems. Look, I don't know when he gets sacked. At the moment, there's no suggestion that it's going to be this season. There's no suggestion at all. Listen, until next time, take care. Excuse me. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon. Peace.